Hi, I'm here today with Shrewsbury Fire Chief Jim Vona. Thank you very much for coming. And
you're welcome, Matt. Thanks for having me again.
Oh well, it's that time of year when I wanted to talk about a couple of safety issues around holiday lights.
Yep.
From holiday lights to people not snow blowing their roofs, I guess.
Right.
So. People do maybe plug in too many things around the holidays. Is that what your experience is?
Yeah, we see around the holidays there's usually a couple causes of fires. There's actually several. First of all, the change in the weather. It's the first time people will start turning on their furnaces, or if they burn wood or pellets, it's the first time that they use their stoves. And sometimes from the previous year they haven't cleaned their chimneys or clean their stoves out, and then they get chimney fires, and the piping can smoke can back up into the house, and so we always remind people, the first time you're going to use your furnace and everything, make sure that it's been cleaned and your chimney's been cleaned, and that way you reduce the risk for problems.
That's something that's easy to forget to do.
Yeah.
Too, unless you're getting smoke back in.
Yeah, the minute the weather gets nice out, you forget all about, lighting your fire and everything like that, and you say, I'm going to get it cleaned, and then you forget, get busy.
And how often should people get it cleaned? Every year?
At least once a year, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or, some places, it depends what kind of stove or what type of burning that you're doing. But, if you burn wood and stuff like that, I would suggest at least once a year.
Okay. And then space heaters.
Space heaters.
We always talk about space heaters.
People got to remember that space heaters are temporary heat. They're not replacement heat. When your furnace is, your oil's running low, you don't just constantly run a space heater. They're supposed to have about 3 feet of space between any, like we have curtains in the background here. Keep them away from curtains and furniture, but you should only use it when you're in the room. It's basically for your personal heating, not your little personal space.
Sure. Yep.
Not
sitting in a chair reading a book and it's a little chilly. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, not to heat up the whole house or a whole room or anything like that. Like I say, it's temporary, and even if you want to go by what they put in the in the manuals for them. If you're leaving the room for a little while, you should actually turn them off.
Okay.
So if you're not using them and you're in that room, they should definitely be turned off.
Holiday lights.
Holiday lights. Well, we're suggesting that folks upgrade their lights to the LED lights now, because they give off a lot less heat and there's a lot less chance of a fire. We always recommend that people plug in their lights and test them before you put them on the tree.
Sure.
I don't know if you've ever done it before you put them on the tree and then they're not working. Now you got to take them back off. But if some of them aren't working, like every year I'll plug mine in and you'll have a string of lights, and most of it or some of it will work, but not all of it. That goes directly into the trash.
Because the rest are going to burn out soon anyway. That's not worth it.
It's letting you know that there's some type of maybe a fray in the wire or a break in the wire that could result in an arc, which results in a spark, which results in a fire.
Okay.
So, you want to be safe with your Christmas lights, and, the old-fashioned ones that, we had the big giant.
I was just thinking of those. I love those, yes. Yeah.
I actually have some now. They're LED lights. They look just like the ones that, my dad used to put up on the house when I was a kid.
Sure.
But they're all LED. They give no heat off whatsoever, and you can get them at your local retailers and stuff. Lowe's, Home Depot, and they're not expensive. So we suggest any of the older lights, you just get rid of them and at least test them before.
Sure. Don't use a snowblower on your roof, which we saw last year.
Yeah, I think some people have funny ideas. There are safe ways to do it, especially, I'm getting close to 60, and I think you've touched 60.
Yes,
now,
I have.
So
yes, that's kind of you to say. Yes,
so
I have more than touched 60, yes.
So it's not good for us older folks to get up on the roofs to begin with. Hire some younger people.
But people who know what they're doing.
Yeah, you know what? You have a lot of the landscape companies. They work all summer, and winters they do snow removal.
Yeah.
So
And roof rakes. I have a roof rake.
rakes, yeah.
That really works pretty well.
I have a roof rake
Depending
at
on
my
how
house
high
too,
your
and
roof is.
yep, yep.
Okay. I want to move beyond that and talk about, you just received a couple of grants.
We did. We received a grant for staffing. This is the 4th year in a row we've actually applied for it, and we made some changes in the grant. We worked with the chiefs from Westboro Fire and Northboro Fire. I've got a newer guy, bright kid, went to Worcester State, wrote grants while he was in college. So we put him on this project. His name's Mike Borowick, and he's landed 3 grants for us
wow, that's great.
with the federal government in the last 2 years. The latest one is a $570,000 grant that will pay for 4 firefighter positions for 3 years.
Oh wow, that's super and so needed. And then the other grant, and it really affects a lot of people in town.
Yeah, the other grant, we've always done a SAFE program here in town, which is student awareness of fire education, and then they've expanded that to the seniors. So it's basically education for seniors. However, you can't use the money just to go out and buy smoke detectors. It's for the education part of it.
Okay.
So the federal grant we got now for almost $15,000 is to actually purchase smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, go into homes and do safety evaluations for the vulnerable person, vulnerable populations, which
Sure.
is mostly our seniors, or if there's any disabled folks out there, or low income. Anyone that calls that needs help with smoke detectors will come out. We'll do an evaluation, and if we can make replacements, we'll do that.
People don't think of
Yep.
those things, and it's so important and it's a service that you don't have to pay for.
Give us a call, 508-841-8522. That's our business line.
Okay.
We'll take your name down. We're going to get something set up with Sharon Yeager at the Senior Center. And we'll have a list down there as well if people want to sign up to get their houses checked and their smoke detectors checked.
I think that's a great service. People just have to take advantage of it and give you a call, and
Yep.
it saves your life.
Yep.
Literally. Well, thank you. We covered a lot of ground, but I
Yep.
appreciate it. And
I'll throw one last thing out there.
sure.
Christmas time will be coming up soon. Don't forget to water your trees.
Oh, that's a good point. Yes.
So that
Yeah,
would
that's
be
a
the
good
last
point.
thing. Keep the trees watered. You should do it daily, and then when the season's over, dispose
What's the
of it.
indicator so that you know it's time to get rid of your tree for those who hang onto the trees forever?
Well, if you're starting to see a lot of needles on the floor, then it's time for the tree to go. Really.
Well, thank you again for coming.
All right.
And
thank
sharing
you.
that information.
All right. Good to see you again.
Good to see
Thank
you. Hi, I'm Matt Labar, and I'm here today with Michael Zeller
Hi,
from the Shrewsbury Public Library, and your title is?
I am the Electronic Resources Librarian.
Okay, and I'm guessing that a lot of people really don't think of libraries, and maybe it's a lot of people my age or thereabouts, and electronic services.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about streaming services and online books and online services.
Yeah, well, you're right. There is an unfortunate contingent of folks who have not used libraries in a while and who don't really understand the breadth of content that we have there. The truth of the matter is that along with our physical collections, books, DVDs, that kind of thing, we have a ton of electronic content as well. We have ebooks, we have streaming services, we have all sorts of different databases that you can use. So what specifically,
Sure. Well, let's start with ebooks.
Sure.
Because I didn't realize that you can, download
Oh yeah. Yep.
ebooks if you go to the library or from your house.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Our big platform is called Overdrive, which it's been around for over a decade. There's tens of thousands of different ebooks on it, and the neat thing about it is nowadays actually we've combined all of the collections throughout the state, or just about, not everybody's. So the Boston Public Library Network, the Minuteman Network, they're all combined together, so we can share ebooks between pretty much any library in the state.
Oh, wow.
So there's
And you need a library card.
you do need a library
So
card,
go to the
yes.
library,
You
any
just-
library,
Yep.
pretty much, and get a library card.
Yep, and then you can log on to our website, get into Overdrive, and you can just start downloading books onto any of your devices, onto your mobile phone, onto your Kindle, onto your iPad. There's different ways you can do it depending on what the device is.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. So that's one possibility. And then streaming services. And we were talking before, I
We
didn't
were, yeah.
realize, well, I stream. I feel really with it now because I go to YouTube. Our programs are on YouTube. And use YouTube when trying to provide a different form of education for our little grandniece.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the many ways people stream. So
Yeah.
how do they go to the library or use
Sure.
the library on your site?
Sure. So
stream?
there's two different main services that we have for streaming at Shrewsbury. There's Hoopla, which is, I was going to say it used to be primarily a video service, but now they've really branched out. So you can stream video content, you can stream ebooks, you can stream music through Hoopla. It's, again, you just go onto our website, you sign into Hoopla, and you're good to go with your library card.
So let's take a step back for a second. Define streaming
Sure.
and how somebody might
Sure. So
use it.
anybody who has used Netflix, who's used Hulu, or as you mentioned, YouTube, streaming is basically, instead of, I guess the way that I would define it is the difference between streaming and downloading is downloading, you're like saving a file onto your computer or onto your device. You've got that whole file and you can access that whole file. With streaming, it's a live stream of data that's going from whatever company you're getting it from to your device. So you're not really downloading it. It's not really any different than, say, watching television or listening to the radio.
I was going to say,
except,
it's really watching television on either a television or a computer or whatever.
Yeah, but you're choosing the time, instead of having to align with a broadcasting schedule, you're choosing the time and place that you're receiving the data.
Okay, so that's streaming.
That is streaming.
Because that's, again, where I never really thought too much about it, and except for YouTube, don't use streaming. I wasn't sure really how to define that in a way that people would understand.
That's how I don't know if that's necessarily the official definition.
But that
that's
makes
how
sense. So if you're
yeah.
looking for something, and you have, with all those systems, you have how many thousands of
thousands of
of
different
programs,
items.
movies, things like that, so people can browse through. How do they do that? That's a
So
good way.
again, you would go onto our website. We have a link right on our homepage called e-content.
Okay.
There's actually there's two links that are similar, e-content and research. Research is more databases, e-content is a more recreational kind of content, but that's where you'll find Overdrive, that's where you'll find Hoopla, that's where you'll find our other streaming service, Freegal, which is music, so sort of a library equivalent of a Spotify or a Pandora. You can stream audio. The neat thing about Freegal, though, is along with the streaming, you can also download MP3s of music, and those are yours to keep. You don't have to return them. They don't disappear off your device. You are downloading free songs right from the library, totally legal and above board.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know. So the process would be somebody would go to your site and click on
e-content,
and then they're going to have choices.
There'll be a whole...
So they click on one of those choices.
There's a whole series of links. They each function a little bit differently. For some of them, you just need the library card. For some of them, you'd use your library card to sign up for an account through the service. None of this costs any money, though. It's all free with your library account. And they're all a little bit different, but if you call the library, if you come in, if you get stuck at any point, we can help you. And a neat thing, too, is about 2 years ago, I think, a year and a half ago, 2 years, we set up a series of tutorials right there on the website. So if you go onto that e-content section and you can't figure out what to do, right below each item is a little link that says tutorial. You just click on that. It opens up right on the same screen. It opens up a little tutorial tab that you can either read through the instructions, or there'll be a series of videos that you can watch to see exactly what you need to do.
research, because you mentioned that.
Yeah.
There's another piece of,
Oh, yeah.
that for people of any age,
Oh, yeah.
from school age on up. So you can do that online
Oh,
too.
yeah. There's another link, research resources link. We have a number of different databases. There's some that we get through the state that are, academic kind of research databases if you want to read articles about different things that are going on in the scientific community, the literature community. But we also have more, I would say, common interest kind of databases. We have Mango Languages if you want to learn how to speak or read and write in a different language.
I think that's
Yeah.
fascinating for somebody who
Yeah.
wants to learn and
Yeah.
may right from a beginning standpoint.
It's got a bunch of different lessons online. And actually, speaking of lessons, we have Universal Class, which is it's a database where you can sign up to take electronic classes that are actually instructed classes with with a teacher that gives assignments. You have homework. You have
What grades?
It runs the full gamut. I would say they're more adult education kind of classes, but a variety of different topics from electronic, how to use Microsoft Office kind of stuff, to just anything you can think of, really. It really runs the gamut. We also have something called Learning Express, which is a database for test taking, so for professional exams or for students who are taking the SATs, the ACTs, that kind of thing.
This is so much more valuable than it used to be. It's so much easier to access, and you can do it from home.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a paper book kind of guy myself, but I will say for the research materials, having it online just makes more sense because it's easier to
And
update.
it's current.
It's exactly,
It's
yeah.
all
It's easiest
current.
to keep
Things change
current.
so
Yeah,
quickly now.
with the encyclopedias, you were getting them maybe once a year. They were very expensive, and then once they're out of date, I mean, they're garbage essentially, which is
that's true.
wasteful.
Recycle.
Yeah.
Time to recycle.
Yeah.
And
Which
that's
is
true.
a shame. Where with the electronic stuff, it's always kept up to date. That's actually, having just mentioned Learning Express, that's one of the things that they do. Where if you've got the test exam books, we get a lot of people in who are looking for the exam books, but I always point them to this because this is the most up to date content for these exams. The books get out of date.
Ebooks, streaming services, research, all sorts of things.
Yeah. There's that among many other
and just books.
Yeah.
I mean, but for your devices at home and on your computer. I have a fairly large computer. When you get a little older, you find maybe your eyesight, you're better off with a bigger computer screen, so you can do it there too. Well, that's great. I really appreciate you coming by. Again, I think
happy to do it.
there's all sorts of ways now to use libraries, including not having to go to the library, except to get your library
You
card.
do at some point. You can actually you can sign up for a card online. You do eventually have to come in to get it.
and get it. Great. Well, thank you very much for coming
thanks for
and
having me.
sharing all this information with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad to be here.
Great. Hi, I'm Matt Labar, and I'm here today with Melody Beach, who's one of the volunteer leaders for AARP.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, Matt.
Oh, well, I appreciate your stopping by. We want to talk about a couple things. The first one is you're very involved with employment and job training programs and retraining programs.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. With my background, which is an HR background by education and experience, I actually lead 3 workshops or 3 classes in 3 different geographic areas. So Worcester is one of them, and we'll talk about that. So it's a 17 program or class topic workshop that people can come in from the public that may be in transition or maybe are working and are unsatisfied and they're looking to make a change. And so each week or each time we meet, which is twice a month, we actually have different topics starting from skills assessment all the way up to marketing yourself, writing a resume, a cover letter, interviewing prep, etc. The program is really to help build the skill sets and the confidence of individuals in the community that need that so that they can get back out into the work world and start their employment search.
Okay, and the people that you're helping are age-wise what?
It's a 50-plus job seekers group, so
Okay.
50 and older. And as I said, I actually have numerous locations right now. I have 3, one in Worcester, one in Auburn at the Auburn Public Library, and one at Northampton, Massachusetts at the Senior Center. However, there are 17 in the state. And if you don't mind, I'll give you a little background.
Please.
Okay, so This program started about 5 or 6 years ago by a woman by the name of Susan Kelly. She developed the program and partnered with Mass Council on Aging, or how we refer to as MCOA. And that's where she got her seed money to actually grow the program and start getting it out into the communities. That also was part of Governor Baker's initiative with his aging and elder initiatives that he's doing within all the communities and towns within Massachusetts. And his Council on Aging actually has 4 pillars of objectives and goals that they're trying to achieve, of which one of them is resources for people in the community to build their skill set. So you can see how we align with that. It's been very beneficial, and starting with 1 location, we are now at 17.
For people over 50. I'm over 50.
Me too.
And as the workforce and the kinds of employment that are available have changed so much.
It has. The process for getting a job
That too.
is totally different.
different.
Never mind the industries that you just brought up, excuse me. So, I mean, some of my folks didn't even have to write a resume when they got their jobs.
Right.
Remember? I mean, it was word of mouth. You know,
Word of mouth, who do you know?
And it's
Yeah,
still that
exactly.
way. Don't get me wrong. Networking is 95% of how you get a job these days. However, there's a knack to it and a skill to doing that. And I teach them that through applications that are out there that human resource people like myself or recruiters use, like LinkedIn or Facebook. There's a way to market yourself out there to let people know you're looking, as well as videotaping. So a lot of companies these days are going to video interviewing, and a lot of my people have never had to do that.
Sure.
So that
sure.
can be very intimidating. So, one of the skill sets in one of the workshops for interviewing is videotaping your video. It's a mock interview.
Sure.
So it's helping you get comfortable in front of a camera. It's helping you understand how you're reacting body language-wise, or even articulating an answer to a question. So it's very powerful, and it helps you practice and practice to build your confidence to get back out there.
I think that's important. Before we went on camera, I was relating a story. The 1 year I got to go to college,
Yes.
100 years ago, when it was still all paper. But they did have video. And the course I took on public speaking, we videotaped all the students. And it was easy to detect. I didn't take brain surgery. The whole 5 minutes I was talking, I was tapping.
There you
And
go.
so I learned try never to have anything besides paper, if that, in my hand. I've done a lot of public speaking now, but when you're interviewing, particularly if you're doing it on video now, and you're not used to it, you're nervous.
That's right.
So to have experience like that, I think is wonderful to learn, okay, here's what I can do, here's what I should say, here's what I should not do with my hands.
Exactly.
And facial expressions, even though
Exactly.
this is probably not at all what I want to be doing, interviewing on video with somebody who I've never met and can't read them.
That's right.
Or it's very hard to read
It's
them.
very difficult. So again, that's why, for me, it's a perfect synergy, because being in an HR profession, I'm on the other side of the desk hiring people, and now I'm helping people prepare for that. So it's really a nice way for me to give back and help those that need it.
Do you guide people toward retraining programs? Because I think that's something that
I do.
unfortunately for many of us in a certain age group, the world of work has changed so much.
It has. So really, the first course that I actually start with is skills assessment. It's really understanding the skills you currently have, understanding, it's a lot of what I would say is soul searching. It's really thinking about, this is what I did, this is what I liked, this is what I didn't like.
Right.
This is the size company I like. This is, I don't want to go more than 50 miles for a commute. So it's getting all those things in your head down on paper, so that way you can understand, what are the gaps? Where do I want to go to? What are the gaps I need to fill or build in order to get from A to B? And then what are all the other tools in my toolbox that I need to market myself out there, right? So it's really a great, great workshop, and it's free. I want to throw that out there.
I think that's
It
very
is
important
free.
to us out there.
It doesn't cost anything for anyone to go. All they need to do is register at Mass Council on Aging. And I understand life happens. We all understand life happens. So you don't have to start at the beginning of the program and go through the whole thing.
Okay.
You can join in it. I will catch you up. We keep all the material available for everybody. And I'm also available for one-on-one coaching and mentoring if people need that, again,
Okay.
to catch them up.
Sure, sure.
So this session started in September, the beginning of September, and it goes to the beginning of December. But we start again in January, and we go again till
Great.
the end of April, beginning of May.
Okay.
So there's
that's
plenty of time for folks.
Great, great. I think that's the invaluable service that AARP and the Mass Council on Aging have
Yep.
worked together to create, and that's a real stress for a lot of people, I think, in that age group. Anybody over 50, everything has changed, from the world of work to how you apply to work to
Ageism.
Yep.
I mean, there's a
how
whole
do you deal with
new-
all that?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
part-time, retirement sounds great until you have to do it. In most cases, you end up having to do that because the position isn't there anymore. So what do you do? And
You bring up a good point, because the demographics that come to the workshop are very vast. I have folks that have never worked. So moms, stay-at-home moms that raise their children, which is a phenomenal
Sure.
job, but they now want to go to work. I have people that have unfortunately maybe been laid off or let go for whatever reason. I have folks that are making the choice on their own. And then I have folks that have been retired that either want to get back onto it, into the work world for their own networking or
just
connectivity.
to be productive, to feel productive, I think,
Or
is
they want to work.
important to a lot of people.
Yep, yep.
And the cost of everything continues to go up. So you had a plan at some point. Well, this
Exactly.
isn't really what I need to live the way I hope to at least survive. So
Yep.
I need to find something again.
It's true. It's true. So again, very vast. Skills levels are vast, but I do recognize that it is a challenge. But I do work with the challenge because, again, various levels. I can partner people up together. There's a way you can do that and still be successful. But what I do want to also add is ARP also has other programs.
Okay, let's
All
talk
right?
a little bit.
So if I could, on their website, there are other programs that if someone isn't comfortable coming to a group with other people, which I do highly recommend for just the camaraderie of being with others in the same boat.
Sure.
However, if you're better off being at home and you want to do a web-based course, they offer those.
Okay.
I've done the resume one just to see what it was like. They also offer other types of courses, and something else I'm involved in is the Speakers Bureau. And I go around to different communities, senior centers, other towns, or whoever wants to speak on topics that are important to individuals or groups of people. So things like brain health, very important these days to stay active and how to do that.
Sure.
As well as finances for people 50 and over, and identity theft, just to name a few.
Sure. Identity theft, that has interested me. For a while, we've talked to a couple of consumer experts over the years about that, and it's still such a huge problem.
It
and
is.
Anybody who's trusting, and I tend not to be, so but even cynical buzzards like me, to be. There's all sorts of people trying to steal our money.
They are.
And
They are. It's so
how
sad.
to do it.
It's so
I think
sad and
that's a
vulnerable.
valuable service.
Yep.
And now where do people find out where those speaking
great.
opportunities are?
People can go on the ARP website, so it's www.aarp.org. There's plenty of classes out there, workshops you can sign up for, as well as volunteering opportunities and other benefits at ARP. It isn't just for the seniors anymore.
That's true.
It isn't.
And that's a good point.
Yeah.
You start getting information when you're about 50.
You do.
And there's opportunities for people, anybody over 50, and many of them are
Discounts,
free.
benefits,
And
exactly.
the discounts too.
Yep.
But and we're running out of time, but I do want to mention briefly, there are all sorts of volunteer opportunities.
There are.
Right where you are. So you're
There
not,
are.
So again, on the website,
You can find out all of those, and you can actually sign up to be a volunteer if you choose to be an ARP one. Or to your point, there are plenty of opportunities within our communities, and there's a need for it. So if you want to give back or you want to get out and socialize, I highly
I think
recommend
that's a big
it.
part of it. Be productive again.
Yep.
and have fun
Yep.
and socialize.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This
Thank
has
you for
been
having
great to get to meet you and talk about, I think, some things that are very important, and particularly for anybody thinking about going back to work.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you again for having me and let me spread the word.
Great, thanks.